That's just a terrible take, personally.
We got shellacked.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Starting Lineup. I'm your host tonight, Jacob Aries, and I'm here with Alex Kastner and Elias Bonilla. Guys, it was huge this weekend. We had the Garmin Marathon. It was a series that took place in Tucson, Arizona as one of the host cities. Is that something you guys ever want to do, run a full marathon?
You know, I've thought about it before. My mom has done multiple marathons and half marathons, but I just don't think running's for me, Jacob, personally.
Well, shout out to your mom. What about you, Elias?
I love running, but a full marathon, that's a big task. But you had the opportunity to compete in it.
I did, and it was one of the hardest things I've had to do. I've been telling people it was my first and last marathon, but I'm already planning for the next one. Guys, I want to jump right into Arizona Roundtable because this week was a great opportunity to be a Wildcat fan. There was so much going on. Let's start off with women's softball. Their season hasn't officially started yet. However, they did open up their season with a showcase. But before we get into that, let's talk a bit about their season last year. They had a 48-13 record, and they were 17-7 in conference play. They made a postseason run, however, they fell short making it deep after back-to-back losses. Elias, this team is a lot different from last year. Why do you think how they can improve from last year's success and move forward, and why Wildcat fans should be excited?
Softball is all about the chemistry. It's all about having that, it's all about having, the community and being able to communicate with all your different softball players. And they have a completely new roster. I mean, they brought in a ton of recruits, but what makes it so important is that a lot of the people that are on this Arizona team are some of the best in the country. I mean, these are players that are coming in and are top of their class. They are top 15 in their state, top 50 in the country. And Arizona, has been ranked, their softball team has been ranked one of the top in the country because they're bringing in all these recruits that know how to communicate with their team, and that's a big part, and that's going to play a big part into having a successful season.
Right, they're extremely dominant, and you said it starts with the players. Looking back, they had a player, Devin Netz, who was a senior last year and eventually was able to compete professionally. Although she's no longer here, we do have new returning talent. I'm looking at this whole team. Like, we have Sydney Stewart. She is going to be their catcher, and she's also a big hitter. She's 6'1", and she comes from San Jose, California. Alex, what can you think this team with this roster and their coaching staff, what do you expect for this upcoming season?
You know, Elias took away most of the points I was going to make, but Arizona's always consistently a solid softball team. If I'm not mistaken, they have the most national championships here at the school, actually. So Arizona softball will always be up at the top. Hopefully they can bounce back from a bad loss to Oklahoma last year and, hopefully improve on that and make it back to the World Series and even farther than they did last year.
Great. It is a very coveted team, very coveted program, and it starts with their head coaching. So we got Caitlin Lowe. She's going to be their head coach, leading this team, building this new chemistry. I liked that they were able to have the showcase, that they were able to get some repetitions in and get this team together and get them to be shown in front of this new, we're in this new Big 12 conference, and with that is a lot of new competition. So we're going to have to prove to ourselves and to the fans out there that we can hang with the best. We are the Big 12 conference. It is a great conference for sports, but we got to remember there is the SEC. And so we got to see how we can take them down during regular season and the postseason. Now, let's go into this package where we had student reporter Locke Kerfman. He was actually able to attend their first outing, which was the Red and Blue Showcase right here on campus.
U of A softball is back at Hildebrand Stadium for the Red and Blue Showcase.
On October 10th, the University of Arizona softball team began their season in front of a home crowd with a scrimmage against themselves. This was also during Parents Weekend, where Tucson had a lot of rainy weather with Hurricane Priscilla approaching. Last year, they were the second best team in the Big 12 with a record of 17-7 in conference play. They were also top 15 in the country, and they made it all the way to Super Regionals, where they got swept by Oklahoma State. This year, they're looking to make it all the way to the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma. After their star player, Dakota Kennedy, transferred to Arkansas and Devin Nets got drafted to the Athletes Unlimited League, they're looking to Sydney Stewart, a power-hitting catcher who hit 20 home runs last year. We then asked a fan named Cody Brown what his expectations of the seasons were. Here's what he thought.
I'm looking forward to the best hitting team in the country, the best offense in the country.
The red team ended up defeating the blue team in the scrimmage 6-4. Then we asked staff member Ella Stannerstone at the Arizona team store, do you think it's important to have a team store at the game? Here is her response.
I think it definitely does help because we're here as part of the campus store, which is a big part of the U of A. We sell merchandise with our logo, and I think it helps bring people's spirit up, especially when they see their favorite sports on t-shirts, and it just kind of builds up their spirit, and it gets them really hyped up and excited for the game.
We also asked Ella Stannerstone what her favorite merch was here at the Arizona team store. Here is what she said.
I gotta go with our pom-poms. Our pom-poms are really cute. It helps like spread cheer, and everyone loves it. The little kids love it. It's a great item. I can't lie.
On 3 has Arizona softball ranked 22 in their way too early preseason projections. U of A softball's first Big 12 matchup is March 5th, 2026 versus BYU at home in Hillebrand Stadium. That is all I have for you folks. This is Locke Kerfman from UATV3.
I actually had the chance to attend that showcase, and it was really cool watching the whole Arizona community come in to support this team in their upcoming season. They last competed against Pima Community College, but on March 5th, they will take a game against BYU in a back-to-back header from the 5th to the 6th. Elias, you had a comment about this team that really took my attention. It really struck me. What was that?
Well, Jacob, as I was watching that package, one thing I realized is that a lot of Arizona's new recruits are Arizona focused. They're Arizona based. Their new pitcher, Lily Hauser, she's actually the daughter of a former Wildcat, Wendy Allen Hauser, who competed on the softball team in 2003 and 2004. And then also their Violet Mitchell as well, who's also going to be competing on the team. She's from Arizona, decided to stay here. She's from Peoria, and she's actually the 8th ranked player for infield and for here in Arizona. So it's an Arizona team with Arizona-based players, and I think that's going to help bring a lot of school spirit, a lot of urge to want this team to succeed, rather than a whole ton of recruits that don't have as much connection to the school. It's going to be a great season.
Yeah, it's going to be great to have a lot of Wildcat talent that don't have to travel that far for home games. So we're going to be looking forward to their upcoming season, and we're going to have a ton to report on them. But for right now, we're going to jump into a sport that's having great success on the global stage, and that is our men's basketball program. Guys, at the time of this recording, we are 4-0. We are undefeated, and we are currently ranked 4th in the country. They recently had an outing which was taken place at against UCLA in Inglewood, California in the Intuit Dome. Alex, they had recently competed against the Florida Gators, Utah Tech, and Northern Arizona. What can you tell us how they reused those matches to hopefully seek out this win against UCLA?
Coming into it, UCLA is a very good team, but they had a harder challenge to start the season against Florida. So I think coming into this, they're prepared, going against harder talent. UCLA got in good transfers like Donovan Dent, but they held him to, I want to say it was less than 10 points. He didn't really have a good outing. So I think with all the games they played before, their defense has been secure, and they're one of the best defensive teams in the country, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And Elias, before we go to this package, anything that you saw heading into this game that they have been perfecting over the course of their young season?
What I really like about this Arizona men's basketball team is the depth. I mean, this is a team that can, depending on the the game script, depending on the outcome. I mean, some games it's Koa Pete, Jaden Bradley, but they can go deep down the depth chart. I mean, Krivos, Karchenkov. I mean, these are great players. Awaka, Delorso. These are players that are all putting up stats despite, them all sharing minutes. And it really shows that Arizona is not just here's a player, here's a player, here's a player, and that's it. This is a team with depth. This is a team that can switch out and utilize their bench in a way that is unlike anything, in college basketball right now.
Well, we have a package that shows all that and more. Sports reporter Avery Klein actually went to that game over this past weekend and has more on it.
At the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, California, the University of Arizona's men's basketball team took on the UCLA Bruins in a very close matchup. Arizona took on a slight lead in the first half, and in the second, they battled their way through to a victory. In a thrilling neutral site battle, the number 5 Arizona Wildcats men's basketball team held off the resilient number 15 UCLA Bruins, securing a hard-fought 69-65 victory. The highly anticipated matchup, which was part of the Hall of Fame series, reignited the historic rivalry between the former Pac-12 rivals, with Arizona now 4-0 in the early season. The first 20 minutes were anything but smooth sailing for either team. After a brief back and forth, UCLA took the lead early. Sparked by strong interior play and three-pointers, the Bruins went on a 15-2 scoring run to create the largest lead of the half, an early 15-5 advantage. Arizona fought back, forcing 13 first-half turnovers by UCLA, making those mistakes into easy points. The game featured 10 lead changes, but it was a crucial second-half surge that sealed the deal for the Wildcats. UCLA jumped out to an 8-point lead, 57-49, with just over 7 minutes remaining. The Wildcats responded with a fierce 11-2 run to reclaim the lead, fueled by a scorching performance from the bench. Arizona guard Anthony Delorso was the star of the night, scoring a team-leading 20 points off the bench for the Wildcats. When asked how much it means to him to have Coach Tommy Lloyd's faith and support in him in key moments of the game, Delorso had this to say.
You have a coach that backs you and trusts in you. That's all you can ask for. It gives you the ultimate confidence to go out there and play your game. And if things go good, it's good. If things go bad, he's got you no matter what. So that gives me ultimate confidence, and I think he does that to a lot of our guys, and that just makes us go down the stretch with that building confidence that we can perform and execute and get the win like tonight.
The Wildcats improved their record to 4-0, demonstrating their ability to win a gritty, close contest against a top 15 opponent. They now prepare for their next major challenge against the number 3 UConn. Reporting for UATV3, Avery Klein.
Man, looks like such a great game. Unfortunately, I couldn't go. But one thing that was really cool about it was actually a match that had a lot of meaning to it, because it was a game centered around the late Bill Walton. He obviously went to UCLA, and his son actually played for the Wildcats. So although it was two different teams, there was a joint understanding and about a lot of love and compassion.
Jacob, I'm just getting news that the Wildcats actually just upset the UConn Huskies 71-67. The fourth ranked team, Arizona Wildcats, came into Stores and took over, beating the number 3 Huskies.
Oh yeah, let's go in on this, because that is huge. This was a big
win.
matchup between the number 4 and the number 3 ranked team. Really, just right now.
Just right now.
And
that's what sources are telling me.
And what do you think this win is going to propel us? We are now 5-0. What do you think are going to be our new standings? We're 4 right now.
I mean, this is an unbelievable win. I mean, we've talked about it, recapping that UCLA game. I mean, this is a team that is upsetting the giants of the college men's basketball world right now, and to be able to win like that, and it's great. We're going to be a really good season from what we can tell so far.
Well, looks like Jaden Bradley was the leading scorer of this game. He had 21 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, followed by freshman standout Koa Pete, who had 16 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists. Overall, a great outing by the Wildcats. It was cool I heard Krivos was moving really well. He was being very dominant in the paint. And Braden Berries, he's really coming into his own this season.
For sure.
He's starting to pick up more momentum. He had a good outing of 4 points, but really just facilitating the ball really well. We're going to go to a quick commercial break right now, but when we come back, we're going to talk about Arizona men's football against their recent outing against ranked 25 Cincinnati Bearcats.
I'm Kate Condon, and you're watching UATV3.
This is Madeline Heinrich, and you're watching UATV3.
I'm Jaden Zelm.
I'm Demetra Alarcon.
I'm Carly Siegel.
I'm Delaney Penn.
I'm Gabby Rosenberg.
I'm Rachel.
My name's Simone.
I'm Isabella Will.
I'm Avery Klein.
I'm Joey Bernal Alonso.
And I'm Pablo Rojas.
And you're watching
Welcome back, Wildcats, to our last part of Arizona Roundtable, where we're going to be discussing Arizona's outing against the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, where the Bearcats were ranked, and we actually, ever since we've had that bowl-winning game, we've been just on a roll, and we won this game. Alex, what went well about this game?
You know, every part of the game, honestly. I mean, there's no one key factor. The offense played great. The defense played great. No Fafita actually overtook, I think it was Nick Foles for leading all-time Arizona passing touchdowns, which is a huge accomplishment, and he still has another season to go.
It's great that it happened in this game. It just seemed like the perfect storybook ending to this matchup. Elias, you had a lot to say about this game.
I mean, what a win for Arizona. I mean, I know Arizona's had some losses this season. Iowa State was not great, and they had that very close loss to BYU in Houston. But, I mean, Arizona came together. The defense from the first play of the game, Javion Cole with an interception, and another one, too, in the second quarter by Dalton Johnson. I mean, Arizona had some faults here and there, but offense-wise, they were able to establish a rush game, 2 rushing touchdowns. That's very, very impressive from a run game that, that's not their priority. It's Noah Fafita. It's the passing game. But Kedrick Reesano, Ismail Mahdi had a 50-yard touchdown. That's very, very impressive. Reesano rushed for 94 yards. Mahdi rushed for a decent chunk as well. So did Quincy Craig as well. They all had really good games. And what's notable about that is they also had an impressive passing game. Just like Alex said, Fafita broke that record. Chris Hudson, we don't talk a whole ton about Chris Hudson. He's not that flashy Trey Spivey type wide receiver, but he had a 123-yard game. Gio Richardson was the one who caught that record-breaking touchdown. I mean, they were using their tight ends. Arizona does not use their tight ends, but Cam Barmore, he came in from he was a transfer. He came in from Mercyhurst, but he was 11 for 100 now on the season. That's impressive. He's the leading tight end for Arizona. I mean, it's just they've been playing really well. The defense, they gave up some rushing yards, 190 rushing yards, which is kind of a lot. And their special teams, 2 field goals missed in the first half, a blocked field goal, a field goal that just went, was just missed. But other than that, I mean, this is a team that's closing out the season with a ton of momentum, a team that has great offense, and an offense both in the air and on the ground.
You brought up some really great, interesting points, and one thing that really stood out to me was, besides that Iowa State game, Arizona has been really close in these tight losses. Like, we've lost to BYU, a really good team, and Houston are also a really great team, but not by that much. So in reality, our wins is really looking like a lot higher, and our losses around 1. Yeah. You also brought up a great point that it's both our offense that's running the ball as well as rushing the ball. So what I mean by that is our running back game has been really strong, and it's been proven from the beginning of the season, but also in this recent game. What do you see more about this team moving forward as they head to Baylor this weekend?
Well,
as Baylor comes to us this weekend.
Arizona's going to close out their home season. They got Baylor, and then they'll finish out with ASU. And this is an interesting kind of couple games. Baylor, we don't talk a whole ton about Baylor. They're on the back half of the Big 12 standings. But, Baylor has put up some occasionally good moments, and Arizona needs to pull away. They need to do what they did against Colorado, and they need to dominate the game, the offense early. They need to establish an early lead and keep it, because sometimes Arizona has a tendency to keep, opponents in the game. Really, it's that ASU one, though. And that ASU game is going to be really big, because Arizona needs to win out to probably qualify for a bowl game, whatever bowl game that may be. And ASU is surprisingly been really well these last few years. That transfer portal has helped them immensely. So Arizona just needs to continue their offense and that defense. If the defense can just start, stopping the rush, getting some more turnovers just like they've been doing, they'll be fine.
With a win against Baylor this weekend, I really see our Wildcat team coming into this ASU game that's going to happen over Thanksgiving on very high morale and attitudes. Alex, I'm going to jump into our next segment, but I want you to carry us off first. Right now, we're going to be talking about professional sports or sports outside of the Arizona community that we are going to be looking forward to. And what was the game or series that you brought up?
I picked the Players Era tournament. You know, the week of Thanksgiving is always great for college basketball. It's called Feast Week because that's when all the big tournaments are. But Players Era is really going to take over with all the tournaments. It's going to take place from November 24th to the 27th in Las Vegas, and 9 of the 16 teams competing are actually ranked teams. Some of those names being like St. John's, Alabama, Houston, and Tennessee. And on the women's side, even though they have less teams, there's only 4 teams competing. 3 of those 4 teams are in the top 5, with 2nd-ranked South Carolina, 3rd-ranked UCLA, 4th-ranked Texas, and the one unranked team being Duke, who was previously ranked 15th before their loss to West Virginia. I think there's 3 big games to look forward to coming into this. First, on November 24th, the 13th-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs will take on the Crimson Tide from Alabama, the 11th-ranked Crimson Tide. 2 of the highest-scoring offenses in the country. They both combined for 185 points per game. This game will give Gonzaga a better resume, you know, as they play in a weaker conference such as the West Coast Conference. But I think in the end, Alabama will end up taking this as they just upset recently St. John's, even though they lost to Purdue. Another big game, November 25th, the 2nd-ranked Houston will take on the 20th-ranked Tennessee. Houston barely escaped the Auburn game. You know, Auburn's been struggling this year, almost losing to Bethune-Cookman in overtime, which is not a good look. But this is going to be the battle of the freshmen. 6'10" forward Nate Ament, the 4th-ranked prospect in the 2025 class. He's averaging 19 points per game for the Volunteers.
As a freshman?
As a freshman, yes.
Wow.
He is insane, and he's someone to look out for when it comes around draft time. But Houston has their own star freshman with Kingston Flemings. He was ranked 20th in the class, not as good as Nate Ament, but he's a 6'4" point guard who's averaging 17.3 points per game for one of the best offenses and best teams in all of college basketball. I think Houston will hang on because Tennessee hasn't had its highest of highs this year, and Houston is just unstoppable. When it comes to the women's side of it, November 26th, UCLA will take on Texas. I'm not a betting man, but if I were to pick, Lauren Betts and the rest of the UCLA team look to take down the Longhorns. Lauren Betts is a 6'7" center who fell short last year in the National Player of the Year race to Juju Watkins. She's currently averaging 15 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks. So I think she can easily dominate the competition. But the Longhorns have one of the best offenses in the country, with 5 players averaging double digits, 6 if you want to count one of their players averaging 9.5 points per game. I think this game could go either way. You know, they're both very skilled teams, and they're both, like I said, the 3rd and 4th ranked team in the country. But I think this game will go towards UCLA. I think Lauren Betts is just an unstoppable player.
Wow, Lauren Betts is definitely someone that I'm going to have more on my radar. And the fact that against Juju Watkins, you know, USC, UCLA, that rivalry
That's
going
a big
on.
rivalry.
So hopefully all those teams and this weekend goes really well. And it's all going to be jam-packed in that one little...
Yeah, just in a couple of days, there's a lot of action.
Wow. Elias, I want to go to you now. You brought up an interesting game. You're actually talking about the Buffalo and Houston Texans game coming up tomorrow. Why is that something that we should look forward to?
Well, Jacob, the NFL is entering week 12 of their 18-week season. We're starting to now get into the thick of it. This is now the time where every win starts to matter. Playoff pictures are starting to get, finalized, and we're starting to see, who are the teams that are going to really be competing in the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans are both in the thick of it on the AFC side of things. Now, the Texans, I want to start out with them first. They're hosting the game. They're in NRG Stadium. The Texans are 5-5, and what's notable is they're 3-1 against the division. Granted, they still have both of their Colts games to play, which the Colts have been very, very solid this season. But the Texans have been playing very well, and that's with the last 2 weeks a backup quarterback. Davis Mills has been filling in, and what's been even more impressive is that he's thrown for over 250 yards in both his games. Their wide receiver, Nico Collins, has had his 2 best games with Mills under center. Jaden Higgins, the rookie, has had his best 2 games under Davis Mills. And also Dalton Schultz, their tight end, he's coming forward as well. He's had 50 yards in 4 of his last 5 games and over 6 receptions in all of his 5 games. That's impressive. This is an offense that is starting to really get things figured out. And you combine that with a defense, which is, it's just amazing. They're one of the best defenses in the NFL. They're the 3rd best against the pass. They only allow 171 yards per game. And Buffalo throws a lot. So much so that Buffalo has one of the, I believe they allow or they have the most passing yards averaging per game. It's literally an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. Because here's Houston Texans. Buffalo has the highest average yards rushing per game, 147.6 yards per game. That is incredible. However, Houston has the third least amount of yards allowed. It's great defense versus great offense. And it's going to be interesting because if the Houston Texans defense can hold up, it definitely can stop Buffalo's rush game. James Cook, for example, he's rushed for 53 or less yards in 4 of the games this season. And look, Buffalo's a weird team. They're 7-3. Their offense has been pretty decent, but they don't have Curtis Samuel for this game. They don't have McCole Hardman. Their tight end Dalton Kincaid is still out. Knox and Hawes, their other 2 tight end, they are not suitable replacements as we saw in Tampa Bay. Khalil Shakir, the top wide receiver, had his worst game last week against Tampa Bay. I mean, it was Tyrell Shavers and Gabe Davis leading that backfield. And yes, Josh Allen was electric. He threw for 3 touchdowns. He rushed for 3 touchdowns. But he also threw an interception that, frankly, if he does that against Houston, Houston is going to take advantage of that. So we're in for a matchup where it's Houston Texans defense versus Buffalo Bills offense. It's going to be a really fun game.
And I was going to ask you about like the emphasis between 2 different teams. You have one that's really good on the defensive side, but then you have one on the offensive side. I know you watched that game between the Bills and the Buccaneers. Great game. Do you think it's going to be anything like that, a very high-scoring game, or how is it going to look?
It's an interesting one. It's all about, to be honest with you, if the Texans run game can get started. And I say that because Tampa Bay last week had Sean Tucker, their third-string running back. He had an amazing game. He rushed for 2 touchdowns and had a receiving touchdown as well. Now, Woody Marks, the rookie out of USC, he's leading the Texans' run game. He hasn't rushed for more than 69 yards all season in a game. However, the Bills allow the second most rushing yards in a game. Only Cincinnati's worse. They allow 153 yards of rushing per game on average. So it's going to be, can these offenses get started? My prediction, I don't think it will. It's Thursday night. That turnaround's always pretty bad. They tend to be lower scoring. I have the Bills winning, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
I got the Bills winning too. Alex, what do you think about this one?
I got the Bills winning, but the Bills, like you said, the receiving core, there's a lot of problems going on, a lot of injuries. Keon Coleman was out for disciplinary reasons last week. It's going to be a rough one, but I think the Bills can pull away with it.
Well, there you go. Bills, Bills, Bills. Table. That concludes our this last segment of looking at professional sports. But when we come back, we're going to end off the show by doing some special shout-outs. Thank you everyone for joining us back. That concludes our show. But before we go, we're going to go into our special shout outs where we're going to send out some messages to people that we are looking and want to give some credit to. My shout out tonight, I want to applaud everyone who ran the Garmin half marathon, full marathon, 5K, 10K, what have you. Great day. It was very much fun. It was cool to see the whole Tucson community get out and get active. What about you, Alex?
I got to shout out UMass football. They're 0-11 right now. They play their last game against Bowling Green University November 25th. Just finish with 1 win at least.
1-11, that would be the goal, hopefully?
That's a sad goal, but that's the goal.
Hopefully. And what about you?
I want to shout out the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, they have one of the most battered teams in the NFL, but I want to shout out Jacoby Brissett. 47 completions in 57 attempts. Man, that's insane when you don't have Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, Michael Wilson. They came through. Good job, Jacoby.
Well, it's nice of you to always, see the sunshine out of all this, what could be gloom. But also shout out McBride. He's been absolutely balling recently. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching this show of the starting lineup. Be sure to tune in on Monday to watch the latest episode of Wildcast. And until then, thanks for tuning in. Have a great night, everyone, and don't forget to bear down.